So about a month ago, I was on set on the recreation of A Nightmare on Elm Street using only the iPhone 11 Pro, and I thought that was really cool. If you guys have not seen the behind the scenes of that, make sure to check out iJustine's YouTube channel. There'll be a link down below. Definitely a fun video. But it got me thinking, what if we take it up a notch? What if we shoot an original short film using the iPhone 11 Pro, but also edit this on a mobile device like the iPad Pro? Now, funny enough, there's a company by the name of Flow that reached out and asked me to try their mobile editing application. Now, I didn't even know this, but this is actually a very popular app that has over 19,000 5-star reviews. And I'm gonna tell you guys, it is very easy to use. So I'm gonna walk you through the steps of how I edited my short film. And then Connor will jump in a little later to show you guys how he's used the Flow app to create some pretty dope Instagram content. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this short film that I created using the iPhone 11 Pro. So as I said, the whole entire short film was recorded using an iPhone 11 Pro and a nanomorphic lens adapter just to give us some cool lens flare effects and make it look a little bit more filmic. So now let me walk you through some of the editing steps I did to create this short film. So when you first fire up the app, there's two options that you can select. One of them is creating a great video, which I think is funny, and the other one is motion photo, which we will talk about that later. Let's go ahead and create this great video. So the very first thing that you have to do is import either footage or audio. In this case, what we're gonna do is just video first. I'm gonna go ahead and find some of the scenes here that I did from the short film. So we have this one here, and then we will do this one. And you'll notice at the very bottom, there's two clips that I've selected. One of them is 20 seconds, and then the other one is 32 seconds. And all I do is push on the top right, and it brings me to the next step, which is selecting the aspect ratio. So I remember when I filmed this, it was 235:1, so that's what I want to select. But if you shot this in a 16:9 aspect ratio, then of course you can select that or any other aspect ratio that you desire. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit next, and then it'll automatically import my footage, which sometimes it takes a couple of seconds and it could take up to a minute depending on how much footage you import. Now you'll notice the timeline and this whole entire just view looks very similar to like Adobe Premiere or even Final Cut Pro. In fact, I would say this looks probably more similar to Final Cut Pro or even iMovie because it uses a very similar magnetic timeline. Now on the timeline, you'll notice on the left-hand side, there's a couple of different columns that you can, for example, add background music, you can add different effects, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. So let's focus on the very first scene, which is Connor turning on this record player. And I want you to notice, you can see the waveforms, and again, it's very simple, and I'm gonna go ahead and play this so you can hear it as I edit this.
Roll in and action.
Okay, so as he turns it on, Oh, right there, I went a little bit too far. So I'm using the pen and I can just easily scrub through. So what I want to do is I want to start my frame right there. So there's two ways I can do this. I can either select my sequence and then just kind of scrub this and make that my starting point, or I'm going to go ahead and just start over here to show you. There's two ways, or I can just do this, and then down below there's a thing called split. So it's going to split the clip. If I split the clip, I can select the very first clip, and then over here on the left hand side, I can just hit delete. So this is my very first clip, just starting off. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play, and that's pretty good. But I want this to start, because this is a movie, I want to start with like a fade in. So I need to add a blank screen. Now, normally you would have to create this like blank sheet or like a blank frame. You don't have to do that with this. All you need to do is this little plus sign allows you to import footage or audio, or you can insert a blank scene, which we're gonna do that. So down below, you'll see that it inserted it into my kind of like a storyboard, and it automatically imported that. Now, in between my blank screen and my actual movie clip is a transition. So if I select that, it'll open up a menu where I can either do a dissolve, a fade, a slide in, different types of effects. What I like to do is I'm gonna do a dissolve. I want this to start from like fading from black into the actual sequence. And I don't want it to last too long. So maybe like, right now it's set to like a second and a half, maybe like 2 seconds. So you can obviously have control of that once you select the transition effect. Let me go ahead and hit play, see what that looks like. That's pretty good. I like that, okay? So it turns on. Now what I wanna do is I need to add some effects. Now remember I told you on the left-hand side there's different columns where you can add different things. So for example, BGM is background music. In this case, I wanna add a sound effect. So I'm gonna go ahead and push on sound effect, and it has a couple of like presets, preloaded sound effects that you can add. Or if I push on file, I can add my own sound effects that have already been imported into my iPad. So right here I have one called ES. So I downloaded this from Epidemic Sound, and this is a record player crackle. So I'm gonna go ahead and just select that. I like that, and just hit OK. Now it adds it to the timeline, and I can set this where I want it to start. So you see this little left and right arrow. I can just kind of move this around. So I want this obviously to start at the very beginning of the film. So I'm just gonna leave it alone, hit done, and then I'm gonna hit play. Now I feel it's a little too loud, and that's okay. So what I can do now is if I select my sound wave, I can push on audio, and it shows my volume level from 100% to obviously 0. So I want to start this maybe at 40%. And then I also want this to fade in. So I'm going to do audio fade in. So it automatically creates this little fade in effect. Because remember, we're using visually, we're fading in. So I also want to do that audio wise. So I'm going to go ahead and hit done. Push on play. Perfect. Love it. Excellent. Okay, now I feel that the sound is also a little too loud for the clip, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to push on audio, so you can also alter the audio from your clips. I don't want to alter it too low, maybe like 80%, and I'm good. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit play. So this scene is Connor's looking at these pills. He grabs these pills, but I want to make a cut right there. So right as he looks at those pills, right before he grabs it, he looks to the right. I want to make a cut there. So I'm going to select my scene, my clip, hit split, and then hit delete. So remember, when I hit split, it automatically selects the next clip, and I can just push on delete, and now it moves on to my following clip. So again, all magnetic timeline. I'm gonna hit play. You're gonna hear some audio. Cam rolling, remember? Okay, I can just skip all this. As he walks into frame, he looks to the right about right here. As he looks to the right, I can just move this over. So it starts right there. This is what I love about using the iPad, is that you can get such precise controls. It's very intuitive. So now I can just go back. Let me go ahead and play that. Boom. Oh, perfect. He grabs the pills. Ooh, it's a little too loud. Again, really quickly, I'm just going to edit this really fast. Audio is a little too loud. Boom. Done. And then hit play. Looks at the pills. He's going to open up the pill bottle. Then he's going to grab a pill. And this is where it gets really intense. He grabs the pill. He looks at it. This is what I want to happen. As he looks at the pill, I want this, because this is a pretty intense moment. Is he going to take the pill? What is he going to do with this pill? So I want to make a cut right about when he's looking at the pill. I'm gonna make a cut. So I'm gonna do a split. And then from here, have you guys heard of the Ken Burn push-in? So if you're not familiar with what the Ken Burn push-in is, it's basically taking either a static image or a video that's not moving and you're digitally pushing in. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. We split the clip, and then what we're gonna do here is now we're gonna go to resize, and then there's a little toggle switch where it says Ken Burn motion effect. And you'll notice here it says first scene and then last scene. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of digitally push in because he's looking at the pill. I want that like fake slider effect, just slightly, not too much. Right there, I love, so yeah, pinch to zoom. How easy is that? Hit done. Now let's go ahead and watch that really quick. So hit play. Look at that. But you know what? I wanna make this even more intense. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the clip. I'm going to push on speed. So now we're gonna tone the speed down a little bit. We wanna make it a little bit more dramatic. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down to not quite half, just a little bit less than half, about 20% lower or slower. There we go, he's looking at that. Oh my gosh, that looks really cool. So now we need music, right? As soon as he flips on the music player, we wanna add some music. So let's go ahead and find that. And then we're almost done here, guys, with this very first clip. So as he flips the switch right there, it goes down. Let's go ahead and push on BGM. Let's go ahead and select file. Let's see this one. No, perfect. One thing to note is when you add your music, if you notice, I'm selecting where I want to start. So I want it to start right there. Hit OK, adds it to my timeline. Let's go ahead and hit done and see if that worked. And you can see everything is stacked just like it is in Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro. So you can see where the music begins. So let's go ahead and play. Ooh, it's a little too soon. So I can just grab this. Remember the little left and right arrow? I can just easily select where I want this to start. So I want it to start right. That's the beauty of it. Is the needle goes down, boom, right there. Perfect. I felt the audio was a little too loud too. So while I'm at it, let's go ahead and adjust that. Let's go to like 30%. Hit done. Let's see if that looks good. Okay, that's pretty good, but I want it to fade in and out because I feel it like starts too abrupt. So I'm gonna do a fade in. So when I go into my audio, there's an audio fade in, hit done. So now it should start, see? Perfect, okay. Now to kind of tidy all of this up, let's add a title to our movie. So on the left-hand side, remember I talked about there's different assets on these columns. There's one called text. If I push on that, I can create a text element. So I'm gonna go ahead and push on this one. I can rearrange this wherever I want on my screen. Just go ahead and double tap that. The name of the short film is called Switch. So let's go ahead and capitalize all that. Hit done. Oops, not return, done. And then from here, what I want to do is I can change the font, I can change the style. All down here, I can also animate it. So let's go ahead and change the font. I think actually the font is pretty good. I'll go ahead and done. The style. I don't want to have a shadow. I know you don't see it because it's on a black screen, but I know it's there. But I'm going to go ahead and take away the shadow, hit done. And now let's go ahead and hit play. So we have switch, but it just seems off to me. I feel like because it's fading in, I think that should also fade in. So we're gonna go ahead and fade the Switch logo so it also appears just like the movie itself. So from here we push animation, and then what we wanna do is we wanna do a video fade in. And then let's just kind of move the title a little bit more forward. So we start off on that blank black screen, fades in, looks pretty good. Hold on, let me just move it just a hair over, hit done. Now let's watch it from the beginning. Not bad, not bad. Boom, perfect. And as soon as he like flips the switch, it cuts. So as you can see, this app is very intuitive, super easy to use. And as you play around with it a little bit more, you'll notice just how simple things are. Now, in regards to color grading, you do have different adjustments that you can do. For example, you can alter the brightness, the contrast, saturation, and highlights, and a few other different settings. You also have different filter effects that you can apply to kind of give your footage a more stylized look. But now I'm gonna let Connor go over the motion photo side, which I think is a very powerful tool for making dynamic content for social media.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that little short film that we put together and kind of my acting debut, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick up where Armando left off and talk about the motion photos that the Vlo app offers, because it's not only good for video editing and making great videos, but it's also good for spicing up your social media. So let's go ahead and jump into the app. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tap on the motion photos icon, and the great thing is that I was able to airdrop a photo from my phone to the iPad. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that photo that I airdropped, and then from here you select the aspect ratio. Instagram stories are 9:16, so I'm gonna select that, which is already selected, and then I hit the little arrow at the top. Imports the photo, and here we are. Now at first it can seem a little overwhelming. Don't worry, it's pretty self-explanatory once we dive into this. So right here you have your motion stickers. As you can see, you can kind of scrub through them all. It's already selected, but you can get more specific. For instance, I'm in the snow. I kind of want it to be a winter wonderland. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into the nature theme, and then I'm gonna click on this nice little snow cloud. What's great is I can drag it anywhere I want, resize it, twist it, do anything I want. I want it to be about here, and let's make it a little bit bigger. Probably like that. So the great thing about these motion stickers is that you can animate them further. So if I click the little animation toggle, and then I hit fade in, that looks pretty nice. I can also have it scale up. I can also have it fade out and scale down if I want to at the end of the video, but I don't really care about that, so I'm gonna turn those off. So I'm gonna go ahead and add one more sticker just to kind of spice this thing up. Let's go ahead and add a thumbs up icon. I think that would look pretty good. Make sure that people like the video, you know what I mean. So I'm gonna add that right here to the bottom. What's really great is that I can kind of flip it. Yeah, that looks better that way. Flip like that, click on done, and that looks pretty good. Now to kind of personalize this a bit more, I wanna add animated text. So what I do is I click on the label icon. As you can see, there's a lot of options here, but this one right here kind of speaks to me. So I'm gonna drag that where I want, maybe over the backpack. That looks pretty good. I like the size. You can double tap it here to adjust the text. And then I'm gonna type good morning, because it was a very good morning at Big Bear that day. So good morning. Look at that, looks great. Click the little check mark, and there it is. From here, you can adjust everything just the same as you can the stickers. For instance, you can change the color. You can make it black, tan, red, doesn't really matter. I like white though, it looks pretty good. Hit done, that looks pretty great. Another thing that you can do, which is pretty cool, is you can add an effect to the entire image itself by clicking the little template icon. And then you can scrub through all the different options. Some of them are pretty crazy. You can have money rain down. I don't know why you would want that in a snow picture, but you can do it, and that's pretty cool. I'm gonna hit delete though, and I'm gonna go up here and, ooh, look, little snowflake icons. That's actually really nice, I like that. Make it more that winter wonderland look that I had just said earlier. And I'm gonna click done on that. Of course, you do have filter options just like Instagram has filter, you just have more options here. I'm gonna click on the first one, because I already know I like that one. And I'm gonna click done. Perfect, that looks pretty good. You can dive much further into this app if you want to, but I like how that looks right there. So we're gonna go ahead and click the share icon. From here, I can select whether or not I want it to be a video or a GIF file, GIF file, doesn't matter. I'm gonna click video. I'm gonna select the resolution. I want it to be best, of course. And then 30 FPS, because if you don't know, Instagram stories are at 30 FPS, so we're gonna leave that alone. And then from here, you can select the duration. Let's say 5 seconds. That sounds pretty good to me. And then you just click export. It just takes a couple seconds to export, and it goes right into your Photos apps, which is pretty awesome. Also from here, you can share it directly to Instagram if you have your Instagram linked up to this, but I don't really want it to be a post. I've made this to be a story. So we're gonna go ahead and go over to the Photos app, and as you can see, there's the photo in all its glory, and it looks pretty great. So if you wanna spice up your Instagram life, this is a pretty good app to do it.
So to kind of wrap this up, this Vlo application really opened up my eyes into like a new mobile editing workflow. I was actually very impressed, not only by being able to airdrop files and just kind of improving the workflow, but just having something where you can shoot something on your iPhone 11 Pro and auto magically appearing on the iPad because of iCloud. Like, to me, that was awesome. Like, we filmed something as I got home, those files were ready for me to edit. Like, but in any case, I want to thank Vlo for sponsoring today's video. Definitely check them out. I think it's worth experimenting with it. I think you guys will really enjoy it. If you guys have any questions, leave me a comment down below. My name is Armando. Thanks again for watching. You guys will catch me in the next one. Adios.